if he ever comes to you talking about tickle, just
Hey,
I don't.
All right.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
At the hour and a half mark, I think we've gotten a little out of the chat. We have the official tagline for Tornado Slam. So y'all use that information. Go get you a ticket.
It'll be out on our socials. It's on Squared Circle Pro's socials as well.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there. You're going to be in Florida with doing Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
And then freaking matches.
You were talking trash about Drew McIntyre the other day.
I was.
Easy.
Okay, no. I was just saying he's not number one pick contention.
That's not true.
I mean, but
Okay, stop this violence.
All right.
No more Russell on Russell violence. Unless I'm doing it.
that's funny. All right. So, anyways,
I'm curious because I'm like, how are they gonna make someone? Because all the promos they've done to build him up, I'm like, the way that Sammy's been taking shots for Roman Reigns, the only real shot he's given back is a shot with the chair, and then he just got mollywopped. He's never been the guy who just comes out and messes people up.
What do you get?
And can overpower Roman Reigns. What?
What do you get?
Wally mopped, obviously. Well, it has to be this man chilling in the ring with two torn freaking quads. And just still yelling at it, you're fired, pretty much. Like, just getting there, like, dogging on everybody, not even able to stand. Like, that's right there.
Raw.
Well,
That was Royal Rumble. Still, though, that moment when he slides in, goes to stand up, and just sits down against the rope.
Having the Macho Man Chris Wolf out there was very good for me. There was something that I really wish Little Guapo could have been there for, because it's a throwback, in my opinion, to the Attitude Era days. Because said trash can that was being used to beat upon Logan Knight got placed on Logan Knight. And they were taking turns just beating him up in the trash can. And it was great.
that's definitely what you think.
so The Rock is on Buddy's list. The Rock is on my list. The Rock is on your list. The Rock is on our chat's list. The real question that we need to ask the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast is, can any of us here smell what The Rock is cooking?
It doesn't matter if you smell.
Oh my goodness, it doesn't.
But it's things like that. It doesn't matter.
The chat, we have the official tagline for Tornado Slam. So y'all use that information. Go get you a ticket.
It'll be out on our socials. It's on Squared Circle Pro's socials as well.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there. You're going to be in Florida with doing Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Is going to be the year for West Texas wrestling, especially at Squared Circle Pro. But July 19th, that is going to be an event that you will not want to miss under any circumstances, because I am dead set to make that night the biggest night in West Texas wrestling history.
And leading the way and
even beat him. Sorry to say, but he's a legend. But to be the best, you must beat the best, And I feel like I can beat him. So Chavo, I'm calling you out. I said, come on.
There it is. Chavo Guerrero, right there. You heard it. Emilio Guzman calling you out, and I'm not gonna lie, love Chavo to death, but Team Emilio right here, that's where I have to go. Of course, everybody knows. As everybody knows, we've got BCW Wild Horses in Wilson, Texas, coming up on February 3rd. And in preparation for that, next week, live on the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast, we will have the one, the only, Exodus Prime as our special guest. AEW star stuff. So you had a B+ on Raw, B- on SmackDown, had a B+ and a B. You want to know what show got an absolute S+ in my opinion?
SCP, that's the one.
That's right. Squared Circle Pro's Tornado Slam. What a show. From start to finish. Damn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we had again,
Table.
there will possibly be a table there that might or might not have something to do with the match. Come out and see us. What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. Night number 2 of our week-long run-up to Squared Circle Pro Birthaversary. That going down this Saturday night, Jake's Back Room. It's going to be a wild show. I am your host, Guapo, the tutorial boss, and with me is the one and only Paula Fate. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, we're going to have some questions later. You got some splaining to do. But before we get into that, we've got to run down this card because this is going to be an awesome show. Again, that's this Saturday, Jake's Back Room. Be there early. That's, if I could give you any advice, it's be there early, because at 4:30 you have the opportunity to meet and greet with absolute legends. Demolition Axe and the Warlord going to be there live on the at Jake's. They're going to be sitting right there for you to come meet. It's, I believe, $25 a piece for meet and greet, autograph. That's prices set by them, or it's $40 to meet and greet both of them at the same time. So $50, you're meeting and greeting two of the greatest to do it and getting into the show. So I mean, you can't hardly beat that. Like, Paula, I know you've been around the wrestling world for a while. You've been in several different promotions. Have you, like, how explain to people how crazy it is that you get in a door for a show like it we're fixing to talk about for $10?
It's pretty crazy. I can't really put into words what an indie show does to you. Going to big name shows, it's pretty cool. You get lost in all of the things, the lights, the music, the matches, but it's personable at an indie show. And getting to be face to face with legends is incredible. And if you haven't experienced it, please do. And if you have seen us and you want to see us again, please come as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I know growing up watching wrestling, Demolition was like one of my big ones. Like that was my tag team. Axe and Smash, man. That was it. And so, young me is like doing backflips inside at the fact that I get to meet Demolition Axe. And the Warlord, like, he was bigger than life at all times. So knowing that I get to meet both of them is a huge deal for me. And you can do it too. All you have to do is show up at 4:30. The meet and greet starts. You'll get to meet two absolute legends. So people are asking, it's so awesome that these legends are going to be there, but what in the world brings Demolition Axe and the Warlord to Lubbock, Texas? Well, I'm glad you asked. They will be presenting brand new titles: Squared Circle Pro West Texas Tag Team Championships, and one of two teams is going to win that match. We've come down to the finals. We've got longtime friends of the show, Downfall Cathedral, going up against Los Crudos for the finals. And this is going to be one for the books. I mean, I've seen Downfall Cathedral do things that you would not expect, flying over the top rope to take out the Gallery of the Damned. That was crazy. But you never can count out Los Crudos. You never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the "we're ready to come to the ring and just destroy everybody" Los Crudos? Or are you going to get the "we're bringing a weed eater" Los Crudos? I mean, what are you going to get with them? You never can tell. What are you thinking on this one, Paula?
I agree. I have to take a moment to point out the way that you explain everything. We all know Paula, and I know talent, and I'm not gonna take away. There's talent on both sides, and it's incredible to see the matchup.
It is. It's good. I have never seen Downfall Cathedral put on a bad match. Now, you have two different stories going on with these teams in their road to this finals. Downfall Cathedral won their match to get in, and then due to circumstances for the next two rounds, they had the opportunity at just taking the bye and going through. Absolutely refused to do so. Said, we're coming to Lubbock, find us somebody to fight. If they beat us, guess what? They get to go on, but find us somebody to fight. The other side of that coin is Los Crudos, who also had buys all the way through and took complete and total advantage of those.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a great match. I'd love to say, this is who I think is going to win, but I have no idea. These teams are so different in what they do in the ring that it's going to be one to see. And the winner of this match, of course, getting those new tag team titles. So, and presented by Demolition Axe and the Warlord. Like, how cool is that?
That's something to put on the resume for sure. That's cool.
Yeah. Can you imagine that resume? Yeah, I won tag team titles. They were given to me by Demolition Axe and Warlord. Nothing big.
The cool moment.
We go from that to the Gauntlet of the Damned. So at the last show, Gallery of the Damned talking to Bobby Munoz, trying to get him to join in on what they've got going on. Bobby Munoz completely dismissing them, telling them, sorry, gone. I want nothing to do with you. Bobby had a match. He was taken out of said match by the Gallery of the Damned. So he had made it clear he wants retribution for that. So we're getting the Gauntlet of the Damned. Bobby Munoz versus 5 members. This is a gauntlet match. So as he beats one, then the next comes out, the next comes out, the next comes out until everybody's made it to the ring. This is a tall order for Bobby Munoz. Like, the Gallery of the Damned is no joke. Lucas Scratch does his homework on every single member he brings in. And from what I've heard, we may be seeing some new faces. So how do you even prepare for something like that?
You can't. But I will tell you, Bobby will find things out about himself that he didn't even know. A gauntlet will teach you a thing or two.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got to say, since coming back, of course, Bobby Munoz on a self-imposed hiatus, 2-year hiatus. Since he's been back, he's been all about business, looking absolutely top notch. You can tell he's in the gym, he's putting in the work. So you can't 5-on-1 be damned. You can't count him out on this one.
I
He
agree.
is a force.
I agree.
The next match we're talking about, you may after the last show, you may have a little bit of interest in this one. The American Tragedy Phoenix going 1-on-1 with Nolan Phillips.
Uh-huh.
This has happened before, and it happened before we got involved as far as our podcast, before we got the opportunity to experience Squared Circle Pro Wrestling. But I've been told stories about Phoenix beating Nolan so bad that he was DQ'd.
Yes.
So I've got to ask, and I don't even know if you can answer, but given what seems to be a new friendship, what the hell is Nolan thinking?
I can never answer that question. I'm just going to be flat out and honest about that. I never know what Nolan's thinking. No one knows what Nolan's thinking. However, you can't count Nolan out. Again, I'm going to circle back to talent and giving credit where credit is due. Therefore, I'm not going to count Phoenix out. We all know what Phoenix can do. I'll have to turn that one over to Nolan, and maybe we'll get our answer without having to ask. But there is how do I put it? An answer to the chaos, I'm sure, somewhere in there.
Well, and we got another layer added to this last night. We had Rick in the chat saying that Nolan made mention of the fact that maybe Phoenix should have read his contract a little better and
He
left
did.
it at that.
He did mention the clauses, and I'm gonna dig deep here. I've been on the opposite end of a situation with Nolan, and you do have to read your clauses, and you have to listen to words, and you have to listen to multiple meanings of words. Nolan is a smart individual.
He is, and as much trash as I have talked regarding Nolan Phillips, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. Everybody that has associated themselves with Nolan Phillips has touched gold. There is like we've caught. I have deemed it the Nolan Phillips Gold Club because that's just the way it is. There are few minds in the business that are as in tune with this sport as his.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. I know Phoenix is ready. I know he wants to tear Nolan's arms off and beat him with them.
Yep, that's for sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out. We've also got a grudge match between Clan Camacho, that being Onyx Camacho, Zarek Camacho, and Angel Camacho, versus the Carnales World Order. And we've got Emilio Guzman, Tio JC Bravo, and a mystery partner, somebody to be announced. And we've been running it through our heads collectively, trying to figure out who in the world could that be. And the guy came up with a good one yesterday. Could it be Tino Valentino? That was an interesting thought. I have no idea who it is, and it's kind of driving me crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Good guess.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I need the guy not to do the whole. He can't do that no more. That doesn't need to be a thing. I will say this: as good as Emilio and JC Bravo are together, they're family. They are the Carnales. They're a family. Clan Camacho is no stranger to being a family either. And when you put any of them together, they know each other so well that they are a force to be reckoned with. Take away the fact that there's a little bit of a size disparity there. Take all of that away. These guys know each other well enough to know this is what we need to do. This is what he's going to do. And as soon as he does that, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So this should be a great match. Being called a grudge match because they came out to make a save at the last show. The Camachos did, ran the Carnales out of the ring, and so the Carnales are like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see who that mystery partner is going to be, though. We've
Agreed.
got a number one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it'll add an element, and we're not sure which kind of element, but it's gonna add an element, and that's intriguing.
It's going to be some chaos for sure. We have a number one contenders tag team turmoil match. This one's going to be crazy. You've got the Canadian Pit Bulls, which are Eric Angel and Elias Castaneda. Always, these guys are so entertaining to watch. I love watching them in the ring. I love watching them outside the ring. It's great for me because they'll be outside of the ring, cutting up with the crowd, just being funny as could be, and it's like this switch flips the minute they go through the ropes, and they're just absolute killers in the ring.
They are.
So
one of my favorite tag teams. I've known them for a while.
they're awesome, absolutely. Well, they've got their hands full because they've got certified wild card, that of course being Jeb Bingham and Draven Reeves. They've got Island Rage, Brian Rage Rivera and Baby Samoa. And then a new team, from what I understand last night, first time teaming together, Naturally Wild, that being Kal-El Santana and Atticus Wild. Atticus, no stranger to tag team action. He and TJ Slater actually currently hold the BCW old school tag team titles. So no stranger to tag team competition. It's going to be interesting to see how he and Kal-El Santana work together in this.
It really will be. I like that matchup though. I really do. I like that as a tag team. It's interesting, intriguing.
From what I understand in this is going to be kind of like gauntlet as well. So we'll start with 2 teams. Once one team is eliminated via pinfall, disqualification, count out, submission, however it goes down, the next team comes in until we have a winner. That winner, of course, going to be able to go against whoever wins out of Downfall Cathedral and Los Crudos
Mhm.
for the tag team titles. This one's just going to get wild. I mean, we've seen what the Canadian Pitbulls can do. We've seen how good Certified Wildcard is together. Though I do have to say, I have been seeing a little bit of miscommunication between those two. Hopefully, they've got that all straightened out and they'll be ready for this. And Island Rage has been just dominant on the tag team scene. So add in Naturally Wild, and this is going to be one hell of a match.
Entertaining for sure.
We've got a women's match that is going to be off the charts. We've got Angela Armstrong, formerly known as Angel Blue, going up against Morgan Mercy. Morgan Mercy dedicating this match to Evelyn Carter. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays in. Now, I know you've had the opportunity to see both of these ladies wrestle, so I want to have you kind of chime in on what you see in this kind of matchup.
Wow. I don't want to say I'm speechless, but there's so much that comes to mind, so much ability, so much entertainment, so much skill. I love women's wrestling. I'm a woman. I was a woman wrestler. I love how this platform from Squared Circle Pro has taken off. And every time that there's a woman match, I'm just glued. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it.
It's going to be a great one. Both these ladies just absolute fire in the ring.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to see both of them live, and all fight, zero quit. So this is going to be a fight. It's not even going to be a match. It's going to be a fight until someone can't stand up anymore. That's what this will come down to.
Yes.
Staying with women's matches, we've also got a women's triple threat. Nova Phoenix versus Emmy Camacho versus the trophy case Nikki Chase.
Yeah.
This one's going to be one to watch.
Yeah.
Nova Phoenix has, of course, been on fire as of late. Just going out and absolutely dominating. I will say I have not had the opportunity to see Emmy Camacho wrestle live, but I have seen video. I have seen footage of her wrestling, and she's just an absolute beast in the ring.
She is. You're in for a treat. And she has miles. She has so many places that she's been, and it's good to see. Again, I don't mean to take away from the individuality of all these women, but the platform, the way that it's taken off, the matches that have been delivered, it's just been insane this year, and it just gets better and better. So another good one.
It does, absolutely. And kudos to Rick and to TJ, and especially to our Squared Circle Pro Women's GM Medusa for just building this platform to what it is. Because we a month or 2 months ago, I guess, had the very first all-female show in West Texas. So, I mean, if that doesn't say something about the way this platform was built up, I don't know what does. Equal Rights and Lefts was absolutely amazing.
It was incredible.
Well, with the well-traveled Emmy Camacho and Nova Phoenix just absolutely on fire. No pun intended, with Phoenix. But you can't cut out Nikki Chase. Nikki Chase has been on one. She has been winning match after match after match, and she's got no quit in her. So I'd love to say, well, I think this person's going to win. I haven't a clue on this one. The styles are so different in the way these ladies wrestle that it's, how do you put one against the other, and how is it going to measure up? Like it's going to be chaos in the ring, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I think it's going to be awesome. We've got the belt going on the line, the Squared Circle Pro Heavyweight Championship. Damo McCullough, our champion, going up against the ring bully Stevon Remsen. Now, Damo McCullough, he has proven himself time and time and time again. The Thunderbird is here to represent Texas, and he does so very well. However, he's stepping across the ring from the ring bully, and he has absolutely earned that name because his goal is to come in, beat him down, take his lunch money, and leave.
Right.
Like that's how intense Stevan Remsen is. So this is going to be this one. I feel like this one may get pretty brutal.
Hmm.
I don't. mm.
Both very strong individuals, and like you said, both points proven. Damo has been given obstacles and knocked them down. This one is a bit different of an obstacle, but we'll see how it turns out.
Well, and to win the championship, he had quite the obstacle in Sam Stackhouse.
He did.
So I mean, Damo's showing that he's not afraid to step up to a challenge, and a challenge is exactly what he's going to get with the ring bully Stevan Remsen. Um, Speaking of challenges, this match added late, and it makes me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. We have La Migra, which is gonna be El Gringo Loco, Veronica Vega, El Diablo Blanco, and Chris Watson. Sorry, I got problems with Chris Watson.
You're good.
But they're going up against Lilith Blood, Killian Crow, the They Them Mayhem, K Daver, and Alluvio. Now, on the surface, this is already built out to be a hell of a match. But there's some things about this match. Like, I think everybody knows the history between El Gringo Loco and Lilith Blood. There's a lot of years of animosity there. And I don't know if you had the opportunity to see Gringo's promo,
I have.
but he's made it very clear that he has every intention of beating Lilith Blood with a belt, like, and these are his words, not mine, like the dog that she is. And the intensity in that promo, I mean, Lilith Blood, she is the OTB for a reason. But this is going to get, I'm afraid this one may get bloody.
And Lil is no stranger to that. They put Lil through a lot, and she's still standing across the ring from them. So this one's good.
Well, I will say that having Killian Crow, K Daver, and Alluvio in your corner definitely helps even things out. Killian Crow, if I feel like at the last show, if he'd have got his hands on Gringo, that would have gotten real ugly real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
So, of course, K Daver always. I have not seen a more intense person in a wrestling ring in my life. Like, I'm outside the ring and going, I'm sorry, whatever. I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry.
Presence for sure.
And Alluvio, of course, Alluvio, a student of Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101, and has definitely made a splash since coming to Squared Circle Pro. That, if I was going to put a team together to go up against La Migra, this would be it. This would be the team I would want. But La Migra has always got a plan and a backup plan and a backup to that backup plan. So this one is going to be crazy. I hope whoever the referee is for that one is ready because they can lose control of this one real quick.
I think with Lil going through everything that they've put in front of her, knocking it down, coming out of it, she still has things that she needs to prove. And I think with this one, she'll be allowed to prove it.
No, absolutely. I just hope we don't find ourselves in a situation where Gringo holds true to his words, because this I'm as honest as I can be. I'm afraid this one gets bloody. The next one may get bloody as well. We've got the steel cage match, those steel cage match that everyone has been waiting for since the last show and when it was announced. On one side of the ring, the Midnight Rider, Marquise Jackson, Nate Collins, and TJ Slater. one hell of a team in and of itself.
Right.
On the other side, the living proof, Justin Taylor, the real deal, Noby Bryant, and the world breaker, Brick Savage. Holy hell. If you were at BCW, I believe it was Hot Blooded. If you were at Hot Blooded, we had Brick Savage versus Justin Taylor there. And they were in the ring, they were out of the ring. Justin got thrown through some chairs. All of that chaos inside of a steel cage. I know that if Rick's listening, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I'm probably moving my table. Like, I'm not going to be sitting there. Like, I can't even start to fathom the craziness, the brutality that's going to happen inside that steel cage. And all of this came about because Marquise Jackson, Nate Collins, and TJ Slater tried to talk Noby Bryant and Brick Savage into joining them. So they said no. We had Noby Bryant and Brick Savage going against each other. Marquise, Nate, and TJ jumped in, decided to stick their nose where it didn't need to be, and now we have a steel cage match that I'm glad I'm not a part of.
Survival of the fittest. That's what happens.
It is, and I keep going through my head, was this a good idea to put Brick Savage in a cage?
They couldn't keep him in the ring to begin with, so I guess the cage makes sense.
You know? Well, that leaves us with one match left, and it's the match that I am very interested in talking to you about. That being the no ropes bare knuckle match. Ryan Justice versus Bam Bam Malone. Of course, you in Bam Bam's corner, a change from the last show where you were in Ryan's corner. We need to talk about that. What happened? How did we get here?
Okay, so I don't usually do this, but I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Whose corner have I been in for the last beginning of this year?
Right.
Ryan's. And who has turned around and questioned me pretty much every other show?
I mean, that's fair. That is also Ryan. Not to play devil's advocate here, but from what I understand, there's some history that could leave him in a position to ask a few questions.
Right, and we discussed that. Furthermore, I proved myself, or I had thought that I proved myself, and Ryan continued to question me, and I continued to follow directions. However, I'm going to further talk about this in the ring Saturday for Square Circle Pro, and I'm going to elaborate. And I'm not sitting here as a person that says I told you so. However, I did mention it a couple times, maybe put a bug in his ear, maybe remind him of who we are and where we're going. And if you're not taking the same road, you're going to end up on two different paths.
Very true. Very true. Now, I will say, Nolan Phillips, we had him on the show for the last show for, I believe that was Headlocks and Heat Waves. We had him on the show to build up to that, and he made it clear. He called it 100% to Ryan and said, she's going to turn on you. Told him, this is what's going to happen. So I've got to ask. I may not get an answer, but who would I be if I didn't ask? Was there some collaboration in this before the turn? Or it's just seeing you with Nolan raises so many questions.
Well, Nolan and I are also no stranger to business, to one another. I'm familiar with Nolan. I have always told everyone, Paula Fate is about business. I'm about championships, and I'm about talent. With that being said, I never take away talent from anybody. That includes Ryan. Ryan Justice is one of the most forceful people that I've ever stood beside in a ring, across from a ring. It doesn't matter. If Ryan is put in front of somebody, he's going to find a way to defeat them. He is championship material, and I will never say otherwise. But Ryan gets in Ryan's way. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Just for some of the people watching or listening that don't know why this is such like a big thing, like the whole turning on Ryan at the last show, like the heat you got from that, I ain't gonna lie. You went over to the interview area. I couldn't hear a word you said because everybody was calling you names that I'm not gonna say on this show. Um,
And they can get their feelings hurt, and that's fine. But just as I was trying to say on the microphone, just because a woman of business makes a business decision doesn't make her a bad person. I'm an intelligent businesswoman, and just because I make a business decision that the crowd doesn't like, they can boo me, they can cheer me, they can be on the opposing side all day long. The decisions that I make are the decisions that I make, and eventually you'll get the answers to them.
and that's what I'm waiting for because so many questions. But as I started to say, for those that might not be familiar with the backstory here and why this is such a big deal, walk us through your relationship with Ryan. I know it started years ago in Fate International. Is that right?
Vedic originally, before we went internationally, yes. I started in the business in 2010, and Ryan was one of my first advocates. He was one of the first people that I represented. He taught me a lot, but I also taught him a lot, and we learned a lot together. Over the years, things change as they do. I was put out of commission, so to say, in being an athlete, and I can't perform anymore. With that being said, I could only manage. And having the background that we do, I have been in Ryan's corner, and I mentioned I've been on the opposing side in the ring, had mixed tag matches against Ryan and an opponent. It is like a brother-sister aspect, if you will, and brother doesn't always listen to sister, and or brother doesn't always think that sister is intelligent. And that's kind of the relationship that we have. He's the brother that I never wanted, really. However, I am humble in the fact that I have learned many lessons from Ryan. And whenever I was taken out of the ring and I was told that I couldn't wrestle anymore, my feelings and emotions changed. And he said that they got the better of me. And he wanted to do it on his own. Sometimes that's okay. Other times we have to remember who we are and who we learned it from. So coming full circle, I tried to help Ryan, and he didn't want my help. And with Ryan being in his own way, maybe he has learned lessons from this. And that'll be more, like I said, I'm going to elaborate more. I'm going to go into more. I'll explain more.
Well, I know there were things that have been happening. I want to say that this was a big surprise to me, but there were things that happened that kind of led me to believe we might be going down this path. I don't remember exactly what the match was, but I know Ryan came out. You came out with him as is customary with a manager, and he turned around and told you to go back to the back.
He did.
I found that to be a little off. Like I wasn't quite sure what was happening there. Kind of walk us through that. What happened there?
I didn't defy him. I went to the back. I listened. I represent you whether I stand in that corner or not. Still represent Ryan Justice. If you believe that you can do what you need to do without me ringside, so be it. I think that Ryan, this whole time, and I don't want to say I think, I want to say I know, Ryan has wanted to prove a point this whole time that Ryan can do anything and everything by himself. With that being said, an athlete doesn't always need somebody, but to get out of their own head, those lifelines, those guidelines are needed. And I've mentioned it a couple of times now, and I'll say it again. When you get in your own way, maybe you should have used some of those lifelines.
And that's a very, very fair point. Now that brings us to this Saturday. Uh, how does it change the dynamic for you being in the opposite corner? You'll be accompanying Bam Bam Malone as he comes into this match. Bam Bam, no slouch. I mean, he is proven himself and won gold all over these United States, and he'll be stepping into the ring with Ryan Justice. I can only assume that having you in his corner is definitely an advantage, as who knows Ryan better than you? You know, who knows a brother better than his sister, right?
Exactly. I'm going to take myself out of the picture for a second and give credit to Bam Bam because he knows Ryan as well. He is not unfamiliar with Ryan. That being said, yes, he has an advantage me in his corner. Also, that being said, I know what Ryan is capable of. So I'm not taking from any of these aspects and weighing one more than the other. These are two athletes that I thoroughly believe in, even being in one corner over the other. I know what Ryan is capable of, but again, Bam Bam isn't anybody to fool around with. He's an opponent that's going to stand in the corner and across from you, and he's going to give you everything that he has and then some. So Ryan has his work cut out for him, but Bam Bam's not going lightly. I'll tell you that.
No, not at all. And Bam Bam Malone, very tenured. Like I said, he's wrestled all across the United States. He's seen and done it all. So it's going to be, taking your lead and kind of setting the fact that you're in his corner aside for a second. Just having Bam Bam in the ring is challenge enough. But do we see? I'm trying to figure out the best way to ask this, because we're a professional show here. Do we see the side of Paula we've seen in the past, where maybe a little involvement here and there, or do you let this one just go the way it's going to go?
That's not up to me, and that's the funny thing about it is that the involvement isn't always up to me.
That's very fair. I'm looking over at the chat. We've got Rick in the chat saying several people have been questioning what the rules are for a no rope bare knuckle brawl, because this is kind of a first, at least for me. I don't think I've ever seen a match where we start the match with no ropes. Just to clarify, closed fist strikes are legal, which is this is going to get fun real quick. Submission is the rule, and there are no ropes to use to break that submission. If someone can't answer a 10 count, that can also end the match. No pinfalls, no DQ, no count out. Damn.
And I'm glad that Rick highlighted that, because this isn't just a regular match. This is a match that gives stipulations and takes away advantages, because if one is better with the ropes, I mean, there goes his advantage. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And there's a comfort, I would think. Granted, I'm not a wrestler. I haven't been in the ring. But there's got to be a comfort in the fact that if someone is known for putting you in submission holds, you can get to that rope, you can break that submission hold and, maintain in the match. And that's gone now. There are no ropes. There's no way to do that. I mean, I'm trying to picture this in my head, and it's just with the closed fist strikes, this is gonna get brutal.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So it is a little more of an aspect to think outside of the box, and it's going to weigh on weaknesses and strengths for sure.
Well, I will say that I know Bam Bam Malone has wrestled all across the country. He's wrestled in all sorts of matches. To your knowledge, has he ever experienced a match quite like this one?
I mean, I can't speak on the terms of exactly like this one, but I'm sure similarities for sure. Um, I can say that both of these wrestlers have been put in similar elements, but I cannot say or speak on the fact for certain that it has been to this degree.
Well, huh, it's going to be one to see. There's no question about that. I am concerned for both of these guys. Um, there is a rage in Ryan Justice that I haven't seen before, and it's almost unnerving because he has wanted to have his hands on Bam Bam Malone for a while. So the interesting thing to me in this match is going to be, can Ryan control that anger, focus it where it needs to be focused, or is it going to be, for lack of better terms, wild rage? Um, that's a concern on that side of it for me.
Discipline is a factor, and we'll see.
We've got Mikey in the chat also saying Ryan is blinded by his emotions, and that's one of two things happens at that point. That's either the most dangerous a person can be, or the most dangerous a person can be to themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see which way that coin flips with Ryan. And uh, as a manager, as the person who is speaking with Bam Bam, how do you prepare him for that? Like what advice do you give to him for that kind of emotion led attack?
I'm just going to speak to the aspect of projection. Projection is a mirror, if you will. So if your opponent is projecting, what does that tell you about them?
Very well put. You Here's the thing. I that's something I could have heard Nolan say. And I say that for a reason because we talked about Nolan Phillips and him having one of the best minds for this sport in the business. And I always say one of because, you know, you're right there with him in my book. Like I've had the opportunities to talk wrestling with you, to talk this sport, to talk different storylines, to talk how things work in the business. And, you know, your wrestling mind is, I'm going to say second to none. I see you and Nolan on an equal plane, which makes this whole thing even more dangerous for Ryan because, you know, Bam Bam's a Nolan guy, you know, so to have you there, to have Nolan there, to have both of your expertise at his fingertips, wow. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
And I appreciate that. Again, I want to elaborate more at the show, but I just want to put a bug in people's ear. Do your homework. Know who is in the ring. It's something that I used to hear whenever I was in the locker room. You never know who's in the locker room, and you always respect everybody around you. So I hand to the crowd, you never know who is in front of you. Do your homework.
Interesting, interesting assignment for everybody. I like that. I've got Rick in the chat saying it's been 2 years since Ryan Justice allowed his anger and rage to drive him to become the rogue. In order to handle business he might not be able to handle himself. I would think they might want to tread lightly, and that is another point I wanted to make. There's kind of a transformation. I haven't had the opportunity to see it, but I have heard many a story about a rage-driven Ryan Justice becoming someone else, becoming the rogue. is that something that you factor into this match? Because the emotions are definitely running high here.
Most definitely. And I spoke to the fact that I never would put Ryan second, so to speak. And I say that because I've watched Ryan hold multiple titles. I know what Ryan is capable of. I would never take those aspects or elements away at all. And emotions can be driven or they can be blinding. And I'm gonna play both of those. I'm gonna play both of those sides.
As well you should. I I don't think I've ever seen Ryan more focused and angry at the same time than I have recently. So, and it brings to mind the idea of the rogue, and is this something that is a concern? Mikey's in the chat saying having the knowledge of Ryan's weaknesses, Bam Bam has a real advantage over Ryan. Having both Nolan and Paula in Bam Bam's corner, it is. That's such an advantage there. In a match where there's no advantages, Bam Bam has created an advantage for himself by aligning himself with you and with Nolan Phillips. Um, I I worry for Ryan on this one. Ryan's my boy. Don't get me wrong. Ryan knows he is a longtime friend of the show. I consider him a friend of mine. But you kind of have to be concerned at this point because it is at that point where when there's no advantages, there's still an advantage.
You have to realize, and I'm not saying you, I'm just speaking in general terms, that the sport of wrestling in itself is not just a physical aspect. It's very mental and emotional. We've spoke to the emotions. The mental aspect that can happen to you in that ring is another level, and you have to learn how to play it.
No, absolutely. And we talked about the emotional, we're talking about the mental, but the physicality in this. uh, I've been a fan of wrestling since I was 3 years old, watching it with my grandfather. And one thing from then to now that has always been present, always been relevant, is there's something about, and in a match like this, it's a very strong possibility. There's something about seeing your own blood that changes everything. And in a match like this where you can have closed knuckle strikes, that's a very strong possibility that we're going to see some blood in this match. And in one that's already high in emotion, catching that extra gear is just the thought of that is insane.
And I don't know too many matches where Ryan has had that obstacle.
Right. I know we've seen him against some of the best. One of my favorite matches to date is watching Ryan Justice and the one called Manders.
Yes.
That match was outstanding. And we've seen him in matches of that caliber, but it's always been a very controlled, very focused, very different Ryan Justice from the Ryan Justice I'm seeing now. I've got Rick in the chat saying all of Ryan's go-to backup are all involved in their own heated feuds or championship quests. So if there's no one to stand with him, he must stand alone. That should worry people. There's nothing that will bring out the fight in someone more than being alone and having their back to the wall.
Very true.
So is that something that between you and Nolan that you're talking with Bam Bam about preparing him for? Because I'm look, pulling the curtain back a little bit on myself. I come from a family full of Marines where if you've got your back against the wall, you come out swinging and you swing with everything you've got. So
To be at this stage, to be doing the match that they're doing, anything and everything has been talked about. And Bam Bam himself, as the competitor standing across the ring from Ryan, has been in very different mental phases in the ring. There's so many things that we can elaborate on, but yes, it is it's been talked about.
Well, needless to say, this match is going to be one that you do not, under any circumstances, want to miss. And from what I understand from Rick, we're opening the show with this match. This is going to be the very first match you see. So it's going to set a bar that is going to be one hard to reach. There's no question about that.
Setting the tone. That's what it's about.
It is, absolutely. Well, we've come up to that 8:55 mark, and as always, I like to take the last 5 minutes to give final thoughts and speak to those watching live, those listening live, those that watch and listen afterwards, the wrestling world in general. Paula, the floor is yours.
Guys, cheer, boo. It doesn't matter what you do, but buy a ticket, sit in the seat, check out the SCP Squared Circle Pro show. It doesn't matter who you like on the roster or who you don't like or who you love to hate. We want to see you there. Yeah. SCP has been fantastic this year, and it's only getting better.
I couldn't agree more. I've enjoyed every single minute of every single show I've been to. If there's one thing I can say, it's that this is it's a drug. It's my drug, and I am addicted. From the first show I've been to, West Texas Independent Wrestling, be it Squared Circle Pro, BCW, South Plains Championship, Rampage, OSW. There's so many different promotions out here that one of the things I hear from people that only watch the mainstream ones, your WWEs, your AEWs, is, well, I've seen this match, I've seen this match. That is the beauty of West Texas Independent Wrestling. You're not going to see the same things over and over and over. And that's part of what draws me in is I can watch Raw, maybe not as much as of late with Triple H running it, but there's been points where I could watch Raw and be like, okay, well, this person's going to lose because they're trying to put this person over. So they've got this coming up, so that person's not going to lose. And you can just kind of match for match, be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's predictable. I have never once been to a predictable West Texas Independent Wrestling show.
I agree.
And it's what I love about it. So if you are in the area, if you're in the Lubbock area this weekend, if you're not at the show, I don't know what the hell you're doing. $10 to get in the door. Want to meet some absolute legends, WWE Hall of Famers? Show up at 4:30. You can meet Demolition Axe and the Warlord. There's just so much offered in this show that you're not going to get anywhere else. Now, I will say this. For those of you that are not in the Lubbock area, for those of you that are not in West Texas, get on Google and look around. I assure you, there is independent wrestling near you. Go check it out. Support independent wrestling wherever you are. And if you want to see what we're talking about with this, if you're not in the area, you can't make it to the show, you can go to www.heckyeahradio.com and watch it live. It's not the same as being there, but it's damn close. So I invite everybody to do that. We've got Daddy Boss 74 in the chat saying I give this show an A. I appreciate that. Thumbs up.
Nice.
I can't wait for this. As always, I do want to thank everybody in the chat, Rick, Mikey, J. Conrad Photography, Daddy Boss. You guys make us what we are, and we appreciate you being here so much. As always, Paula, thank you for coming on the show. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to be doing this again tomorrow night. Bobby Munoz on the show. First time on the show. Excited to have him on. We're going to talk about we'll run through the card. We're going to talk about that Gauntlet of the Damned a little more in depth and find out where his head's at on that. I invite all of you to be there and bring 50 of your closest friends. Mikey in the chat saying happy belated birthday. That's right. We said happy birthday to Rick yesterday. We just recently, what was it, Saturday?
Yes.
Saturday was Paula's birthday. So
Thank you.
a belated happy birthday to you. What can I mean, there's not much else to say. Be there Saturday. Come see this whole thing go down. And, I'm going to be listening really close to try to hear you over what everybody else is going to be saying while you're on the mic. Because I
would
am interested to hear you.
but I don't.
Say that again.
I said I would apologize for the heat, but I won't. It's okay.
Nor should you. I mean, I'm excited for it. This is going to be great. I hope to see everybody at the show. Like I said, I want to see you and 50 of your closest friends on this show tomorrow night as we bring you Bobby Munoz. Until then, I am Guapo. That's Paula Fate. We're not your average marks. See you guys tomorrow night. Yeah.